Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Since you all really liked my The Fast and The Furious review, here are my thoughts on Too Fast, Too Furious. Get it? Like the sequel, and sequels usually have numbers. Being too fast, right? Starting off with my positives on Too Fast, Too Furious is Ludacris. Now, I'm a big rap guy. I like listening to rap mainly, like Eminem and Dr. Dre and all that. Pretty much every famous one I listen to. Recipes Juicy World. I really like Ludacris in this movie. He apparently continues throughout the series, which I'm going to be perfectly honest. I did not know that for a while. And I'm so glad that I know that now because I like him in this movie. Another positive on Ludacris is his music in this movie. I really like his music just in general, and he actually recorded new music for this. There's the Too Fast Too Furious one I believe he recorded for this one. There's another one that he recorded for it, but I don't remember the name of it. It's on the DVD that my dad bought, but I don't know. I'll look in like a minute or two. I don't know. Maybe I won't look at all. But I like seeing Ludacris in this movie. For rappers kind of giving one of those where they're kind of going into acting, kind of like WWE wrestlers where they start off being popular as they are, then they kind of pause on what they're doing there and they go to Hollywood and start acting. That doesn't usually end well with rappers, but Ludacris is a good actor and he feels that he actually fills in with this franchise too. I also like Tyrese Gibson in this movie as Roman. Him and Paul Walker have good chemistry. Now, at times he can be a bit too silly, which I will get into, but I do like the chemistry between him and Paul Walker. He is a very interesting character where we hear that he and Paul Walker's character Brian were kind of buddies back then, and then like he did something and he got caught and he kind of blames Brian for getting caught because he was a cop at that point, but no longer is a cop in this movie. And it's an interesting character where when we first meet him, he's kind of crashing into cars, kind of like those weird car things that you would watch where they kind of all crash into each other and see who would win. God, my hair looks horrible today. There we go. And where when we first meet him, there is a part where I think is pretty funny where him and Brian start fighting. He's like, "You still fight like shit." I really like the Tyrese. I really like Tyrese as Roman, and I'm pretty sure he's in the other movies. I don't know. I haven't really checked. But if we do see more of him in this franchise, I hope he's good because he's a weird character in this movie, and I hope he becomes better in the franchise. It's kind of a strange positive, and maybe it's the fact that I've been playing these games is the vibe I'm getting from it. Is that this movie kind of feels like Far Cry in a way, and I like that. For someone who's now getting introduced to this Far Cry series, still on the first game, I haven't played it in a while, I'll beat it soon, I promise, and then I'll play Far Cry 3, which I've heard is the best. I don't know why I've gained that kind of Far Cry feeling to it, but it's maybe because of the set pieces. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. It's kind of a weird positive to talk about. Like, why are you talking about Far Cry when this is about cars racing and getting caught and getting like arrested and shit? I don't know why I'm getting that vibe. Maybe because of the way the villain is in this movie and the way that they've been kind of doing all this. It just kind of reminds me of Far Cry. I don't know. Well, now I kind of want to play Far Cry. Final positives on Too Fast and Too Furious is I think the race scenes are better in this movie. The standout is when Roman and Brian are racing against like kind of like the henchmen of the villain in this movie, where they both have to race and whoever makes it back, the other guy has to go and race. That scene is really good, and especially the opening where these three guys are looking for the fourth person. Ludacris is like, okay, can't find a fourth guy, we won't race. And then he calls up Brian. He's like, "Hey, come down here. You want to race and all that?" I think the race scenes in this movie is better than the first one. The first one has really good ones for that being like the first one in the series. I feel that the second one does a better job of it. I think like I said, the stands out are the opening and the part where they're racing for each other's cars. Another one is when they're kind of driving away from the cops, kind of like a heist thing where they steal a bunch of shit and they're driving away from the cops. That's just only three, and I'm pretty sure there's like a lot more than that. Those are just three on the top of my head that I really remember. And we're only two movies in, and those are kind of like already like top five race scenes in this entire series. and I only could name two that I really, really like. Now on to my mixed aspects, and that is the comedy in this movie. Now, everyone says that this is their least favorite because it's way too silly. Now, when I first watched it, I didn't get that vibe, but again, that was like 2 years ago. I didn't really get that vibe, and I've always heard people like, "Oh, the movie's fine, but the movie's just way too silly." And I was like, "Oh, now I'm nervous to watch this one." I watched it, and from my top of my memory, I laughed a few times, but I didn't really get too much of a silly vibe. But after watching it again and hearing more things on this movie, how silly it was, like I said, I do see that more. I see why people say this is one of their least favorites because how silly it is, and I see that now. Now there are parts of this movie that actually make me laugh, like the main one, like I was talking about with Roman when him and Brian were fighting. He's like, "You still fight like shit." I think probably the only person I think the only reason Roman was kind of written was kind of like as a comic relief character. Doesn't always work, but I feel there are some good moments when the movie makes me laugh. At the same time, it goes way too far. I'm like, okay, movie, you were here for a while, now you're kind of like down here. On to my negatives. I don't care for this villain very much. I don't think he's very interesting. He's a villain that we've all seen before, where he's kind of like he's kind of like the kingpin in this movie, where he kind of owns this island. He kind of owns this island. He owns the police. He's basically the kingpin of this entire movie and this entire franchise, basically. And I was like, people like this guy. Like, I don't like him. I think the villains don't really do much in the first movie, but I feel they're more memorable and they're more likable than this guy. Like, I was just sitting there, I was like, dude, this is just some douchebag that's just basically a kingpin. When I watch a Fast and Furious movie, I don't want to be wanting to watch Daredevil. Well, guys, I think this is a pretty damn good sequel. For it being a follow up to the first movie, where I feel it should have just been a one and done movie, I feel that this movie does a good job of being a follow up. I actually know someone who says that this is their favorite Fast and Furious movie, and I wouldn't argue with them. It's not, to me, it's not even close to being as better than the original, but I do feel that it is a fun time, and I would recommend that you would go out and buy it. What do you guys think of Too Fast, Too Furious? Do you like this movie? Do you not like it for how silly it is? Or do you think the silliness of this movie is the reason that you like it? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. And if you like this video, like it. And if you loved it, subscribe and hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. But until my next video, take care.